Hi, Mr. Washington. Michael Major from BroadwayWorld.com. You have a lot of experience on stage. You performed Shakespeare on Broadway. So what was it like bringing this piece that so many people may be familiar with in a theatrical setting to the big screen?
It was fun. It was fun because it so much was left to our imagination. The way that Joel designed the sets and the lighting, and there wasn't a lot of stuff that, actors stuff to lean on, props and things like that. It was just sort of bare spaces. So it was like raw with the language and the other actors. So that made it a little more frightening, but more fun as well.
Thank you.
All right, our next question goes to Kuya P with Nerds Rule the World.
Kuya P, Nerds Rule the World. Thank you, Denzel. This is truly a pleasure.
I like that hat.
Thanks so much. Once you got Joel's script to prepare for this, was there a particular scene that you were ready to chop your teeth into when you got on set?
No, I didn't look at it that way. I mean, every line, every scene is a challenge, because the language is so foreign. But I didn't think of it like, this is the big scene. I mean, I've been around long enough to know, don't think like that because you'll screw it up,
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Welcome.
Next question goes to Arturo Conde with NBC News.
Hi, Denzel. This is Arturo, NBC News. So seeing Macbeth in black and white today, what do you think this version of the story says about color and race in society and morality, good and evil, compared to other versions before?
That's a lot to cover, man. The film's just in black and white. That's all. But I like the question. What was the question again? What do I think about?
So what do you think, for instance, this version of the story today of Macbeth, how does it compare with other versions and what it says about diversity and morality, like good and evil today?
I hadn't seen any other versions, so I can't compare it. Obviously, we are diverse, so I think that's a great thing. In my humble opinion, we ought to be at a place where diversity should even be mentioned, like it's something special. These young kids, black, white, blue, green, or whatever, are highly talented and qualified. So that's why they're there. Not to say you're saying that someone did them a favor, but they're there because they're qualified and highly talented.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Next question goes to Andrew Marzal with AFP.
Hi, Denzel. Many congratulations on the performance and on your SAG nomination this morning. Obviously, it's been commented on that Macbeth is fairly often played by a younger actor and Lady Macbeth as well. I'm curious to know, not just in terms of the motivation of the character.
I thought you were going to say that's usually played by a white actor.
No, we could cover that one. I'm curious to know how Denzel Washington of say, 20 or 30 years ago might have played the character differently to how he played it in this film.
Oh, good question. Probably more physical, not giving into the reality of where my needs are at this point in my life. As I rub them, using that, in this storytelling. And the weariness is not the word, but this was it. They're tired, they're older, they're like, look, this is our shot. We're due, give it to us, and they don't. And drastic times make for drastic measures, and the clock is ticking. That's all.
Thank you very much.
All right, our next question goes to Adonis Gonzalez with Nerds of Color.
Hey, this is Adonis with Nerds of Color. First off, I just want to say I'm a huge fan. You've been a hero of mine for pretty much since I came out the womb, if I gotta be honest with you. I have to ask you, you have a lot of experience on screen and on stage, and I actually talked to Corey Hawkins a little earlier. He mentioned that you guys were a bit like a theater company. because you guys have so much experience. I say most, if not all of you on the set had so much experience, both on screen and on stage. Was working on this film more like working on a play, like being on the stage, or was it more like working on a film set? In your experience, were there any differences at all with that?
Definitely more like working on a play, because it was a play, because it is difficult, like a play. You know, that it's a play that we had to break down first, and working on it like a play, because you can't ad lib, you know, you can't improvise the lines. So sitting around, Joel's approach in the rehearsal process, it seemed like they were approaching it like a play, like we sat around the table as a company and talked about, you know, things first, and maybe read scenes, and slowly put it up on his feet and started blocking. And the rehearsal process was definitely like rehearsing for a play.
Thank you so much.
Question goes to Nikki Fowler with Glitter Magazine.
Nikki Fowler, Glitter Magazine. Hi, Denzel. How are you?
How are you?
Pleasure to meet you. I have a question about your craft and your love of it. And after all the rehearsals, the direction, the running lines, what was it like for you in the moments of your performance to have this freedom to get lost in the role creatively?
Stanislavski, the acting teacher, writer, talked about cutting 90%. You do all the research, you do all your homework, you do all of that, you study the lines, and then you cut 90% of everything you study. You throw all that away and you listen, and you respond accordingly. You know, I didn't know. I like not knowing what's going to happen. If that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
All right, next question goes to Ashley Dunn with Where's the Buzz?
Hi, Denzel. Happy New Year to you.
Hi, Ashley.
Love your background, by the way. So you chose not to watch any past performances. So I have to know, how did you approach taking on this historically famous play and making it your own character, but still keeping the essence of what people have become familiar with?
It's not even so much that I chose not to look at any past performance. I just hadn't seen the play before.
Okay.
And I didn't see the value in seeing it now. I didn't want to see anybody go, oh, shoot, how the heck am I going to be better than that? Or, you know, I didn't want that to affect whatever it was I was going to come up with. So I was coming to it with a fresh eyes and ears and imagination.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Question goes to Dana Abercrombie with the Koalition.
Dana Abercrombie, the Koalition. My question to you is more about how Macbeth is labeled. Usually it's always the villain. And I was wondering, there are moments where he goes into sheer madness, but there are moments where with the character, other characters, their downfall is sometimes by their own hand. Do you yourself view Macbeth as that pure villain, or as someone who is just driven to madness due to circumstances?
I don't look at it either way. I don't look at him as a villain, or I don't look at him as driven to madness. I look at the circumstances and the information that the words give me. I don't decide that, oh, someone's a villain. Yeah, you know, that's why bother then? You know, and how do you play that? What is, you know, do you twist your, you know, mustache or whatever? So I think justify is not the word, but I think a character, you got to love what you're doing and think you're doing it for the right reasons, even if you know it's for the wrong reasons. That makes sense.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Next question goes to Alex Wood with Theatre Mania.
Hi, Denzel. Congratulations. I was absolutely riveted from shot one till the end. And obviously, you played some of the most iconic Shakespeare characters in all of Shakespeare's canon. Are there any ways in which you think the treatment of Shakespeare or the performance of Shakespeare has changed over the course of your career? Anything you've noticed or things that surprise you now about the way in which Shakespeare is treated?
No, I don't. I think it's a good thing that the gloves have been taken off and that people tried all kinds of different ways, and why not? You know, what's special about Shakespeare? You know, he should be open to interpretation like any other writer. May not always be successful, but you can give it a shot.
All right, next question goes to Patrick Gibbs with Slug Magazine.
Hi, Patrick Gibbs, Slug Magazine, and what an honor. I'm not an easily starstruck person, but I've been waiting for this moment since 1990 when I saw Glory.
Wow. Where are you from?
Salt Lake City, Utah.
Okay, that's where you are now?
Yeah, Slug stands for Salt Lake Underground.
Okay.
That's our magazine. So adapting a classic of the stage to film is something you have some experience with yourself. And Joel's approach to the film seems to have been, to me, very much something that stands as both a great film and a great play. In that sense, I saw some kinship between this and your version of Fences, even though maybe Fences may have been more conscious about trying to open it up for film. At its core, it feels to me like in both cases, a big part of the approach is just trusting in the text. What are your thoughts on that?
You know, what I tried to do with Fences and what Joel did in this film. I mean, thank you for mentioning them in the same sentence, but you know, he's obviously a master and found a way in that I think I didn't find in doing Fences. What was the question?
But so, I feel like both films, rather than trying to get too caught up in a lot of artifice, really relied on trusting on the text and staying true to the heart of Shakespeare and August Wilson. And there's a kinship there in that approach. Do you feel that was the approach?
Well, I think one thing we do have in common is that we were smart enough to get out of the way and to trust August Wilson and to trust William Shakespeare.
All right. Thank you very much. Great answer. And don't underestimate what you did with Fences, by the way. I love that.
Thank you.
All right, next question goes to Michael Major with Broadway World.
Hi, Mr. Washington. What do you think the audiences who are familiar with Macbeth on stage will be surprised about or will enjoy about this new film adaptation?
It's a visual feast. I mean, you can't recreate in a theater what Joel did here. Just light and sound alone, you know, and the space that he leaves for the imagination. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And back to Kuya with Nerds of the World.
Creepy Nerds of the World, Denzel, thanks again. Do you have a favorite moment working with the entire cast on set?
I think that my mind goes right to when we were all sitting around the table together. You know, like we were all in it together, and you know, the fear is the same. Even probably more so the more fame you have. You know, you're like, okay, they're all waiting to see what I'm going to do now. Like, oh shoot, you know. But you're still inside. You're acting, but you're just as nervous as the next person. And I remember we had just finished the first read through, and Moses or Ingram or Courier, and I forgot who told me the story, but we had just finished the first read through. And I got up and ran out of the room. So Corey and Moses and them, and my daughter was in the film too, so she was there. So they were asking her, like, did he not like it? Something's wrong with him. My daughter's like, no, he probably just had to go to the bathroom. And it was exactly the truth. I just had to go to the bathroom. But I guess they thought I didn't like what had happened. But, make a long story long, we were all in it together from beginning to end.
All right, next question is back to Arturo with NBC News.
Hi again. So I was hearing you were talking before about opening up Shakespeare to interpretation. Could you describe a little bit of what was your way into Macbeth as a character specifically, and if there was anything that resonated personally as you were getting into the character today?
Nothing I did different because it's a film in terms of approach. It all starts with the text. And you just start digging in. Well, what does that line mean? And one thing leads you to another, and you look it up, and oh, I see. So what is that? How's that related to this other line on page 22? You just start peeling the onion and digging deeper. One question begs another question for another answer.
All right, next question goes to Adonis with Nerds of Color.
So that
I like that. Nerds of Color, huh?
yeah, we're a great publication, man. But I wanted to ask that final scene between you and Corey, Macbeth and Macduff, that fight scene. There's a lot of emotions. There's a lot of drama in that scene, and I want to know, how did you and Corey specifically, how did you guys approach that scene? Not just choreography-wise, but mentally as actors in your headspace. You have these two characters coming together and sort of resolving this film.
I think we kind of stayed in our own corners, if you will. As I recall, when we were shooting, he was over wherever he was, and I was over there with my guys, and then we'd come together and slash it out, and then go back to our corners and get mopped down. And how did it go? It was like going back to your corner. Like, how's he looking? Well, he got a couple of shots in, but you don't get him. It was that's the fun part too, because it's like a bunch of grown men playing sword fighting, basically.
Cool, thank you.
All right, next goes to Dana with the Koalition.
Yes, hi, thank you. I was wondering, during either the rehearsal process or during the filming, what I love about this is because of the light and the sound, it feels completely different and refreshing. Was that in play? Did that mean that the interpretation was slightly different, or did you leave it out for just everyone to? I was just wondering about, because of the light and the sound, how that was impacted, because it was on a sound stage as opposed to like an actual set.
I think it lent itself, because it was on a sound stage, it lent itself to the imagination. Everything was being created, including what we were doing, and we didn't have we had the light. We did not necessarily always have all the sound that you hear in the obviously in the finished film. But scenes like when he's king and all of that stuff is floating down from the top of the stage, and it lent itself to bigger performances. It was like a series of small plays, that we would take this section and maybe 2 or 3 pages, and that was a one act, and we complete that from beginning to end. So you really got to dig into to each section of the play, each scene.
All right, thank you so much, everyone. That concludes our roundtables.